we've introduced this element where we put out like our shooting schedule to our royal rejects, our patrons. And then we answer some questions, usually maybe at the end or at the very beginning. We open up our document. This is probably the most questions we've ever had.
I've never seen so many. It's good.
And when it's a situation like this, it's like, okay, this is probably going to cover. We haven't actually read the questions. We just see the quantity, which usually means we're probably going to cover everything we want to talk about in these questions. So I say we just swing into it, Andrew.
Let's do it.
Where we're off to. Kenny G V92. Here we go. As reactors who talk and reflect openly about mental health struggles, how do you feel about the message conveyed through the movie about mental health? Oh, absolutely. I feel a lot of things. Could the points have been made stronger by more story for all, or do you think the theatrical cut conveys the message well enough? Now, I know we've had different dabblings when it comes to, we've, of course, had mental health struggles like any human being, but our journey and obsession or homework or education is very different for the two of us. But please, Andrew, what are your first thoughts on this, on the aspect here?
Absolutely. I think the theatrical cut conveys it very well, not only from all the characters, but specifically Bob, for instance, and Yelena, of course, too. But I really resonated with Bob, especially when we were dealing with the void there at the end, because I had a very depressive episode myself back in 2019 where I was in a void, and I did feel that darkness. And I felt so alone, and I was so depressed. And what really resonated with me, not only that feeling that was being conveyed in the film, but how everyone grabbed him and embraced him and let him know he wasn't alone. And that's really what lifted me truly out of the darkness. Friends like Greg and my family letting me know that I wasn't alone. It truly uplifted me. So like the movie really spoke to me from there. So maybe there are other avenues that they could have approached it, but like this really spoke to me because I lived it.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very strong and poignant message, and very visceral, and also for someone who actually lived this, minus the Sentry powers, it was very, very resonating and relatable for me.
Yeah. Yeah, to touch on this one subject, because I'm like, the whole movie is about this, essentially. You know, it's the backdrop for it. When people ever ask me, like, or when I share, what is the character you related to most in television, I've constantly said, like, Chandler being from Friends, but in terms of a drama, and it's funny that you've just started this show, when I was really young, the very first dramatic character I'd ever related to was Dexter Morgan from the show Dexter.
Great show.
And that first episode, he said something that I had said to myself a lot, but I had actually never heard in a medium, just maybe missed it, and I had never heard in conversation. But I was really young, and I would say I feel empty. That is how I describe my feelings, and it was such I would be like out of my own body and observe that feeling, because like the irony of empty or void being an emotion, right? Like the irony of that. And then I saw Dexter say it, and I was like, whoa, that's how I feel. Weird. And so this movie starts off with a theme that got me really fascinated with one's own emotion, which is dealing with the void and what is purpose, and each person's purpose is different. What is someone's why in life? And this is the thing of really creates like identity. Part of being a human being, I believe, is to want to find that level of fulfillment and find that level of contribution. And we often grow up in a society that tells us what success is, but a lot of times if you ask someone like, what is your definition of success, even I struggle with that answer. Like, I don't really know what that answer is for me. When people ask me, I actually don't know. It's one of the things I've been exploring lately. And if you wanted to talk success, like, success is to be some form of fulfillment, and this is like an interesting element to have that kick off with the idea of darkness. And beyond getting on this whole other tangent, the main focus of it is self-acceptance. That's the main journey of this movie, is self-acceptance, and not to judge yourself as well, and to not let your past dictate your future. Don't let the facts of your life become the excuses of your life for your life, as one of the mantras I have lived by since I was like 19 years old. And it's something I often forget when you're consumed by darkness,
For
you know.
sure.
And I can very much still. There's so many elements that I would relate to of the embracing that, you know. And I've done therapy. I've had a couple of really great therapists in my life, and one really standout moment in therapy for me was the awkwardness of having to face your inner child, like literally doing exercise of talking to like younger Greg, and that's where our core traumatic wounds stem from. That can shape our identity. That can shape our core base human emotion is one way I've heard it put. Like your need for something or fear of something, and you see that illustrated by specifically more so like you see John Walker's recent circumstance, but with Yelena and with Bob, you see their core memory formed in childhood and how that has dictated the void for them, you know, because a void comes in the form of having so much pain you don't really want to face it, because like if the first stage of grief is denial, it's that for a reason. It's because your mind and body can't really handle it, so you push it away, and that's where the strength comes in to face it. Like when you're working out, it's supposed to hurt, you know. It's supposed to be uncomfortable, and this is about having that strength to face the thing that to survive you've had to push it down and push it away. And the same wall that keeps out sadness keeps out happiness. For the most simplistic terms, could they go deeper? Of course they could go deeper. Could they go crazier? Of course they could go crazier. And have other movies done that? Absolutely. But to do it on a blockbuster level and to do it in an MCU movie and to commit to it and not sacrifice it for some typical third act finale, this really moved me a lot.
Yeah, no, it had some deep themes, you know, in regards to loneliness, depression, redemption. I also like forgiveness as well, in regards to Alexei and Yelena's relationship. That's never too late, you know, to forgive someone. So I thought that was layered really well on top of it as well. But yeah. No, but also I think you make a good point. Just really quick. Just really quick. I like that you make a great point that this film definitely committed to it and stayed with it. They didn't cop out in any way from the mental health theme and the rest of the themes we just went over. So I do appreciate that it's stuck with it.
Absolutely. I'm going to make the editing a little bit easier for us, so this is going to be awkward, and let's just keep it in the video.